Ancient epic. The prisoner and the allegiance. Topic: Socrates and the social contract. Why he refused to escape from prison. A man was unjustly condemned to death. He had every reason to escape. The money was available. The route was secured, and his friends were waiting. Yet, he refused. That man was Socrates. This was not a decision lacking courage. This was an absolute moral declaration. Living proof that philosophy must be inseparable from action. Socrates believed that breaking one law, even an unjust one, was an act that would shatter the entire foundation of the city. We will not merely examine the friendship between Socrates and Crito. We will analyze the philosophical debate between Socrates and the laws, a conversation that has defined how we view civic duty and justice to this very day. If you want to delve into the depths of the ancient social contract and understand why obedience to law was considered the highest moral virtue, hit subscribe and turn on notifications immediately. The ancient epic community will join you on that fateful night. Setting the context. The prison and the conscience. After his unjust trial, Socrates was imprisoned, awaiting his execution, the day the sacred ship returned from Delos. The atmosphere. Despite being condemned, Socrates remained tranquil. This serenity fueled the desperation of his friends. Crito, his close and wealthy friend, could not bear the thought of Socrates dying due to an irrational verdict. Part 1. Crito's argument, the pressure of society. Crito's role, loyalty and reputation. Crito was more than just a friend. He represented the voice of Athenian society and pragmatic logic. When visiting Socrates in prison, Crito presented three primary arguments to urge Socrates to escape. Personal loyalty, friends' honor. If Socrates did not escape, people would assume that his friends, like Crito, were either too stingy or too cowardly to save him. This would tarnish the honor of Crito and their entire group. Family duty, obligation to children. Socrates had young children. If he died, he would be abandoning them, violating the most basic moral duty of a father. Moral illegitimacy of the execution. Accepting death was tantamount to surrendering to the enemy. Validating the correctness of a clearly mistaken verdict. Socrates should fight the wrong done to him. Socrates' response to the pragmatism. Socrates did not deny friendship or familial duty, but he established a higher standard. Is the action itself morally right? He refuted Crito's argument with a fundamental question. Ought we to care about the opinion of the many, or only of the one who understands? Socrates concluded that he should only be concerned with justice and rightness, not the fleeting judgment of the public. He must act based on rational principle, not emotional consequence. Part 2. The voice of the law, the social contract theory. The laws speak. To answer Crito, Socrates employed an eloquent philosophical technique. He personified the laws of Athens. Socrates asked Crito to imagine the laws stepping in and questioning him. Socrates: "What are you doing?" The laws presented arguments that became the core tenets of the classical social contract theory. Foundational obligation, the parent-child analogy. The laws argued, "We gave birth to you." The laws fostered, educated, and protected Socrates' parents, allowing him to be born and raised as an Athenian citizen. Therefore, Socrates owes the law's obedience as a child owes a parent. The beneficiary's duty, tacit consent. The laws reminded Socrates that he had enjoyed the benefits of the city for 70 years, freedom of speech. Protection, and the right to property. Enjoying these benefits implies tacit acceptance of the entire system. The voluntary agreement, freedom to leave, the laws pointed out that Socrates was free to leave at any time if he disliked the laws. But he chose to stay, marry, and have children. This voluntary act of staying served as a binding signature on the social contract. The ultimate punchline: destruction of the system. The laws concluded that Socrates' escape would not merely be a breach of a covenant, but an act of destruction against the entire structure of the city. Do you think a city can exist if its legal judgments are rendered ineffective, nullified, and destroyed by private individuals? Socrates agreed that breaking the law undermines the entire societal foundation. Justice must be prioritized, even if it leads to personal injustice. The focus shifts from the personal fate of Socrates to the survival of the political community, polis. Part 3. The moral verdict, absolute priority. The duty of the good man. Socrates concluded the debate by asserting that the good man cannot harm others, even when harmed by others. He did not believe he had the right to retaliate against the city's injustice. Instead, he had to choose between two wrongs: accepting an unjust death, a wrong committed by others; violating the social contract and rule of law, a wrong committed by himself. He chose option 1. He had to live and die according to the moral principles he had taught. The integrity of a life. Socrates' decision was the supreme philosophical act, proving that his philosophy could withstand the test of death. If he had escaped, his entire life of teaching, questioning, and living under the law would become a fraud. His unwavering stance served as the bedrock for the later philosophical and political concept of the rule of law, asserting its authority above the emotions and self-interest of any single citizen. The great conclusion. Socrates' death was not a tragic end. It was the greatest affirmation of the supremacy of the rule of law over individual interest. He accepted the error of men to preserve the eternal principle of law. This action shaped Western political philosophy, laying the groundwork for later social contract theorists. Socrates placed principle above his life. What do you think of his argument? Can breaking an unjust law ever be justified? Comment below, share your thoughts, and join this major philosophical debate with us. Don't forget to subscribe to the Ancient Epic channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our deep analyses of humanity's greatest legacies. See you in the next epic. The architects of Western thought. One was a barefooted, famously ugly philosopher who never wrote a single word. The other was an aristocratic, brilliant student whose writings established the foundation of Western civilization. The relationship between Socrates and Plato is the most pivotal intellectual partnership in history. It is the story of how a powerful oral tradition, a method of relentless questioning, was captured, codified, and transformed into an immortal system of thought. But the question remains: was Plato merely Socrates' faithful transcriber? Or did he use the revered voice of his teacher to promote his own revolutionary ideas? Understanding this relationship is the key to understanding all philosophy that followed. We will investigate the emotional, political, and philosophical chasm between the two men, and discover how this singular dynamic created the theory of forms and shaped concepts of justice, beauty, and the soul for 2 millennia. If you want to dissect the profound philosophical evolution from relentless questioning to systemic theory, and understand how one tragic death sparked an intellectual revolution. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications immediately. The ancient epic community is the place for those who seek the deepest roots of Western knowledge. Setting the context. The academic mentorship. Socrates and Plato met during a turbulent era in Athens. Plato, born into a powerful aristocratic family, was initially groomed for a political career. But upon encountering Socrates, he abandoned his political ambitions. Captivated by the authenticity and intellectual honesty of the older man. This was not a conventional teacher-student relationship. It was a deeply personal, almost filial bond, forged through hours of relentless public cross-examination. Known as the Socratic method, Elenchus. Part 1. The chasm between the two, method versus system. Socrates. The power of negative truth. Socrates' philosophy was defined by its limitations. He famously claimed, "I know that I know nothing." His wisdom lay not in accumulating answers, but in understanding the limitations of human knowledge. The Socratic method, Elenchus, Socrates' goal was purely elentic, to expose the contradictions in his interlocutor's beliefs. His method was primarily destructive, tearing down false assumptions to achieve negative knowledge, knowing what you don't know. Focus on ethics. Socrates' domain was strictly moral and ethical questions. What is virtue? What is justice? He was concerned with the practical implications of a good life here on earth. Oral tradition. Socrates believed that the pursuit of truth required direct, living dialogue. He scorned writing, fearing it would lead to a static, easily misunderstood truth. Plato, the architect of positive truth. Plato respected the method, but he fundamentally sought to build where Socrates had only destroyed. The quest for positive knowledge. Plato aimed to move beyond Elenchus to establish a system of positive, absolute truth. He sought definitions that were perfect and eternal. The realm of metaphysics. Plato expanded the scope far beyond ethics into metaphysics and epistemology, the nature of reality and knowledge. The written dialogue. Plato's choice to write in dialogue form was an attempt to preserve the spirit of Socrates' method while immortalizing the content. However, writing necessarily formalized and shifted the inquiry. The core difference. Socrates lived in the agora, the marketplace. Dealing with human imperfection, Plato ascended to the heavens, the realm of forms. Dealing with divine perfection. Part 2. The trial and the catalyst for revolution. The shock of the execution. Socrates' trial and execution were the single most important event shaping Plato's philosophy and his view of politics. Plato was so disillusioned by the execution, the killing of the justest man, by the democratic state, that he forever distrusted pure democracy. He viewed the political system of Athens as fundamentally flawed, poisoned by popular opinion and emotion. The Apology and Crito, Plato's early dialogues, such as the Apology and Crito, are generally accepted as the most accurate historical portrayal of Socrates. These works function as historical tributes and moral defenses, establishing Socrates as a martyr for reason and law. They cement Socrates' image as the man who valued principle over life. The transition. Plato's voice emerges. In later, longer dialogues, such as the Republic and Phaedo, the voice of Socrates undergoes a dramatic transformation. The theory of forms. The character Socrates begins to introduce profound complex metaphysical concepts that the historical Socrates likely never taught, such as the theory of forms, or ideas. This theory posits that the physical world we perceive is merely an imperfect shadow of a higher, eternal, non-material reality where perfect concepts, justice, beauty, the good, reside. The allegory of the cave. The character Socrates narrates the famous allegory of the cave, which is entirely Plato's metaphysical doctrine. The philosopher's ascent out of the cave symbolizes the painful journey to grasp the forms. Analysis. Plato used Socrates as a mouthpiece. By putting his own radical metaphysical ideas into the mouth of his revered, martyred teacher, Plato lent them immense moral and philosophical authority. The Socrates, in the later texts, is essentially Plato's intellectual hero and vehicle. The question of where Socrates ends and Plato begins is one of the greatest mysteries in philosophy. If you find this exploration of intellectual influence valuable, your subscribe helps Ancient Epic fund deeper investigations into these historical figures. Part 3. The Republic, the Political Chasm. The Ideal State, Politeia. The Republic is the ultimate manifestation of the philosophical and political distance between the two men. The entire dialogue is an attempt to define absolute justice and design the ideal state. This project itself runs counter to Socrates' established method, which only sought to define what is not just, never what is the perfect state. Socrates' vision. The historical Socrates was an individualist focused on personal ethical growth. He was anti-political in the sense that he believed in serving the polis through philosophical service, not through holding office. Plato's vision, the philosopher king. Plato's solution to the political chaos that killed Socrates was the philosopher king, an autocratic ruler trained in metaphysics and capable of glimpsing the form of the good. This is the ultimate antidote to democracy and a radical departure from Socrates' simple method. The goal of the Academy. After Socrates' death, Plato established the Academy outside the city walls. This was not the chaotic, public forum of Socrates. The Academy was a highly disciplined school dedicated to mathematics, dialectic, and the rigorous study of the forms, the training ground for future philosopher kings. The Academy was Plato's effort to implement the lessons learned from Socrates' execution. Reason must be protected from the mob, and true political reform must come from the top down, guided by absolute truth. Part 4. The Enduring Legacy and Synthesis. The Unwritten Doctrines. One final layer of complexity lies in Plato's unwritten doctrines. Plato taught more than he wrote, particularly about metaphysics, mathematics, and cosmology. Scholars believe these oral teachings represented the true culmination of his thought. This returns us to the Socratic paradox. Plato, the masterful writer, also held that the deepest, most important truths could only be conveyed orally, through direct, sustained dialectic, a clear echo of his own teacher's anti-writing stance. The blurred line, the Socratic problem. Historians and philosophers often refer to the Socratic problem, since we only know Socrates through Plato and Xenophon. Where does the historical man end and the Platonic invention begin? The general consensus divides the dialogues into 3 phases. Early dialogues, closest to the historical Socrates, focus on ethics. Negative knowledge, elenchus. Middle dialogues, the core of Plato's metaphysics, forms. Cave, Republic, Socrates as Plato's spokesman. Late dialogues. Plato moves away from the character Socrates, debating his own theories. The enduring synthesis. The greatness of the two men is that they are eternally fused. Socrates gave philosophy its method, questioning, and its martyr, moral authority. Plato gave philosophy its system, forms, and its institution, the academy. Without Socrates' painful death, Plato might have remained a political minor figure. Without Plato's genius for writing, Socrates would have been lost to history, reduced to a collection of colorful anecdotes. Their relationship is the ultimate example of a crucible of genius where one man's life was perfected by another man's pen. The legacy of Socrates and Plato demands that we never stop asking questions, even about the nature of the questions themselves. Do you believe Plato betrayed Socrates by writing down his philosophy? Or did he save him from oblivion? Comment below, share your thoughts, and join this major philosophical debate with us. Don't forget to subscribe to the Ancient Epic channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our deep analyses of humanity's greatest legacies. See you in the next epic.